Welcome back to my channel Pinnacle of English, and in today's class we are going to discuss a very good story from Moments class 9 CBSE English, and the story's title is Weathering the Storm in Ersama. So Ersama is a village and a natural calamity called storm which occurred in this village in Odisha in 1999. So weathering the storm, along with the storm, there is, the climate changed and there was heavy rainfall too. You can see the picture when the storm occurred with heavy rain. This kind of situation happens and occurred in a particular area where there is heavy rainfall along with the storm. Many trees are uprooted, even we can find water everywhere. There is no need, there is nowhere to go. People become homeless. The dead bodies of the animals and human beings can be floated, are floated in water. Let's see today's class, today's lesson with deep summary, introduction, and even theme. Why is this story in CBSE class 9? Along with that, we will also discuss NCERT question answers. This will be helpful to the students for final examinations and even internal examinations too. Let's see. Introduction of the setting of the story is in Odisha against the backdrop of the aftermath of the cyclonic storm and that hit the coast in 1999. You can see here what exactly happens when there is heavy storm, particularly in the coastal area of Odisha. And this is real story. Let's see the introduction of the story. The story gives an account of the storm that hit the coastal town of Ersama in Odisha in the state year. In the year 1999, there was a young boy named Prashant who faced the fury of the storm and reached his village. The details of how he worked hard to help the villagers overcome the devastation caused by the storm, which inspire us to have courage and a positive approach towards life. So this story deals with a particular character named Prashant who really worked hard. He struggled a lot and saved the life of many people. Even he saved the life of his family, his friend's family in Ersama in 1999. Let's see how he saved the life of the people, how he overcome the situation and saved the life of the people. Let's see the summary of this story. Prashant's visit to Ersama and coming of storm. Prashant went to his friend's house at Ersama on 27th October 1999. It was 7 years after his mother's death. It was evening time. Heavy and continuous rain filled the darkness. So, in the sky, the dark clouds were hovering over there, and there was heavy storm. And along with the storm, there was heavy rain also. So, owing to the heavy storm, the trees were uprooted. The trees fell down and even the water entered his friend's house. And the speed of the wind was 350 kilometers per hour. Generally, it happens that if nearly below 100 kilometers speed of the wind is there, then we can tolerate. We can endure everything. But here, see the condition of Odisha. When the speed of the wind was 350 kilometers per hour. The condition of Odysseans were very pathetic in 1999 when the heavy storm occurred. So everything was destroyed there. The scene of destruction that was horrible could not be seen by our keen eyes. Prashant and his friends, family had taken refuge on the roof. So they climbed on the roof of the house to survive themselves from the storm and with the cold wind. The cold wind which was blowing so cold that the entire family felt cold and they were feeling freeze at that time. Prashant won't forget the horrible scene that he saw. He was greatly shocked to see a huge sheet of water all over. So wherever his eyes could see only and only water, nothing else. It was covered everything as far as the eye could see. Houses were broken, dead animals and human bodies floated everywhere. Huge trees had fallen. Even the 2 coconut trees had fallen on the house of Prashant's friends. So they wanted to survive on the roof of his friend's house in Ersama. Several days they passed over there. So they were thirsty. For that they wanted to quench their thirst and they want to feed their stomach. So it was God's greatness, God's pity on them that 2 coconut trees fell on the roof of Prashant's friend. And they quenched their thirst with the help of the coconut. And they survived for many days. So when the water level came down, Prashant wanted to go to his house. And it was 18 kilometers far from his friend's house to his house. So he walked 18 kilometers long and reached his house. Tender coconuts kept them alive for several days. So Prashant is ready to go home. For a couple of days, Prashant sat huddled on the rooftop with his friend's family. So he struggled a lot. His life was completely fixed on the roof of his friend's house. And they were nearly frozen in cold wind. Prashant thought of his family and decided to go. Though his friend's family asked him to stay back, Prashant was really worried about his family. And so he got a strong stick and then he started on his 18 kilometers journey to his village. And the flood waters were swollen. Next, Prashant was on his way to village. Prashant waded through the water. He started moving ahead. On the way, he found 2 friends of his uncle. And they were also returning home. They had to push away many floating dead bodies of human beings and even animals to move ahead. There were hardly any houses left in the villages that they passed. The condition is very pathetic. Prashant wept, thinking that no one in his family would have survived. So he was thinking by heart, thinking by soul that nobody could survive in this situation. So it was time that Prashant reached his village. Finally, Prashant reached his village, Kalikuda. It was his village name, and the roof was the only thing that was left of his house. So he went to the Red Cross shelter to look for his family there. He saw his maternal grandmother there. It was a miracle for them to see Prashant alive. It was really a magic for them. And they became happy after seeing Prashant alive. They had thought Prashant to be dead. Prashant's family was there. So he found everywhere, but he could not find his family members. So ultimately he went to the Red Cross shelter where many family were taking rest, taking shelter over there. So he was finding his family members. So he found his maternal grandmother over there. And it was really miracle, a magic for them to see Prashant alive. Let's see next. Prashant. Now let's see, as a leader, what did he do? Prashant decided to assess the damage of the danger awaiting the survivors. All the houses in the village had been washed away. Even Prashant organized a group of youths of his village. He pressurized a merchant to give them some rice. He requested that in this pathetic condition, who else will help? So he pressurized the merchants to give them some rice. And they made a fire and cooked the rice. However, the rice was rotting and they feed the stomach of the hungry people. And his next step was to clean the place of filth, urine, and even the floating dead bodies. So he took some help from the people who were alive over there, and with the help of them, they all cleaned the filth, urine, and the floating of the dead bodies and dead bodies of human beings as well as animals. Children devised a method to get food from the above. On the fifth day, a military helicopter dropped food. So it was the fifth day, a military helicopter came and dropped some food packets for them. But then it didn't return. The group deputed the children to lie there. And they had the empty utensils on their stomachs. So the helicopter people, they realized that these people are hungry, so that they could drop the food packets for them. It was to communicate to the passing helicopters that they were hungry. And finally, they got food enough through air dropping. So this was also a very good technique, idea to get food. Prashant becomes a savior and a social worker. He brought the orphaned children and made a shelter for them. See how he became a real hero. He asked the woman to look after them, but he soon found that women and children were sinking deeper and deeper in their grief because they lost their parents. They lost their father and mother. He made them join the Food for Work program. It was started by a non-government organization, we can call it NGO. He engaged other volunteers to help keep widows to start their lives. He also believed that orphans should be resettled in their own community. So he showed his efforts and he did that. After 6 months, what happened? After 6 months, the super cyclone, Prashant now thought about himself. Earlier, he had no time to bother about his own pain. The widows and orphaned children of the village thought of Prashant only in their hours of grief. Now let's see theme of the story. The theme of the story highlights the destructive powers of nature. When natural calamity occurs, that natural calamity never listens to anybody. It may be of flood, it may be of drought, it may be of heavy rain, it may be of flood, it may be of earthquake or landslide. So this is what we can say the power of nature and its repercussions on humans. It also showcases the courage and spirit of one young boy in bringing relief and comfort to the suffering villagers. He made others' life comfortable. He became a real hero in this story. He showed his courage and spirit of a young boy, right? And saved the life of many people. Now let's see what is the message from the story. The message of the story is that even a single person is capable of bringing about a great change with courage, determination, and selflessness. Right? So, nobody but a single person can change the life of others. And that change can be possible with courage, great determination, and even selflessness. It also highlights the importance of community in helping to deal with a calamity. So, each one, tree one, if all will together, definitely there become a tree, there become a team, and if a teamwork is done, if the teamwork is showing all the efforts together, then definitely the work will be fruitful. So Prashant became a real hero. He showed his courage, he showed his determination. He worked hard, he worked for others, he saved the life of many people. Let's see next. The title, why is this title appropriate? This title can be interpreted on two levels. First one, literally facing a cyclonic storm, and second, facing emotional upheavals. In the story, we find both aspects as we read the remarkable story of Prashant, a savior of the super cyclonic storm that struck coastal Odisha in 1999. He lost several family members and friends in the storm, but showed immense courage and resourcefulness to ensure that the survivors did not have to wait and depend on government help alone for survival, but took care of their own needs themselves. So this is very important. He showed his courage, right? He showed his immense courage and resourcefulness. First of all, he went to the merchant to give some rice, right? And feed the stomach of the hungry people. Then he took some help from the NGOs. Even the helicopters were dropping food packets, but then after it didn't return. So he instructed the children to lie down on the land, keep some utensils on the stomach, so that whenever the military helicopter comes, the government, the military people will realize that they are hungry, and then they can throw food packets for them. Let's see character sketch. It is in time of crisis that good leaders emerge. So whenever the crisis occur, definitely good leaders emerge. Right now in this COVID-19, a very pathetic condition of each and every living in this world. But there are so many leaders who came up. For example, Akshay Kumar. He paid handful amount to the government to help the needy. Sonu Sood, he really helped the people to go to their native place. Those who were going on foot, on bicycle, they did not have enough money to go to their homes. So Sonu Sood became a real hero for them. So whenever the crisis occurred, good leaders emerge from them and they really help the needy. In the same way, Prashant also helped the needy people. He became a real hero during this crisis and helped the people and saved the life of many people. Now let's see, Prashant was a brave and courageous. He helped the people of his village by first getting a grip over himself because he was initially shocked in witnessing the after effects of the cyclone. He organized a group of youths and elders to jointly pressurize the merchant to give rice for the people. His next task was to organize a team of youth volunteers to clean shelter and to tend the wounds of the people who had been injured because of the cyclone. Prashant also brought a number of polythene shelter for them, while women were mobilized to look after them. The man secured food and the women were becoming too grief stricken. He persuaded them to start working in the food for work, organized sports events for children. Even he also took some help from the NGO. He was a charismatic leader and had tremendous organizational capabilities. So this is what the character sketch of Prashant, which is really important. Now let's see very important questions for board examination. How has Prashant, a teenager, been able to help the people of his village? Answer of this question is Prashant helped the people of his village by first getting a grip over himself. First of all, he became strong because he was initially shocked on witnessing after the effects of the cyclone. He decided to stop in the lead as the leader of his village. He organized a group of youths and elders to jointly pressurize the merchant to give rice and the people living in the shelter. He was successful in his task. His next task was to organize a team of youth volunteers to clean the shelter and to tend to the wounds and the people who had been injured because of the cyclone. Prashant also brought a number of orphaned children together and constructed a polythene shelter for them. While women were mobilized to look after them, the man secured food and other essentials for the shelter. When he realized that women were becoming too grief-stricken, he persuaded them to start working in the Food for Work program, which was initiated by an NGO. He also organized a sports event for children. So they will forget their parents, then they will be happy. Question number 3. How have the people of the community helped one another? What role do the women of Kalikuda play during these days? The people of the community got shelter and began to help the another under the leadership of young Prashant. Together, they persuaded the merchant to part with his rice for the people in the shelter. They generated branches from fallen trees and lit a fire on which they cooked rice for all to eat. That's very nice task. The next point, when the military helicopter dropped some food parcels but did not return, the youth task force gathered empty utensils from the shelter and made the children to lie in the sand and the utensils on their stomach to communicate to the passing helicopters and that they were hungry. The message went through the helicopter, made regular rounds of the shelter, airdropping food and other basic needs. This is also important. And the next point, the women were mobilized to look after the orphans, those who became parentless, while the men secured food and materials for the shelter. In spite of being stricken, the women started working in the Food for Work program started by an NGO. So this is also important. The next question is, what do Prashant and other volunteers register the plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows? Why alternatives do they consider? Let's see the answer. The plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows was registered because it was believed that in such institutions, children will grow up without love and affection, and widows would suffer from stigma and loneliness. Instead, Prashant and his group suggested that the children and widows should be resettled in their own community, where they can get a homely environment. Even they suggested setting up of foster families made up of childless widows and children without adult care. So next question, do you think Prashant is good leader? Do you think young people can get together to help people during natural calamities? Yes, Prashant is a very good leader. Though he himself was too grief-stricken, he got a hold of himself and decided to step in as the leader of the village. He carried out his role effectively and helped the people of his village in every possible manner. Yes, young people can definitely get together to help people during natural calamities, and otherwise they can use their strength and vigor to help people. Oh, now let's see. Very good statement. We can clearly say that Prashant is a born leader and he is a great influencer. He is very courageous and never backs down nor accepts defeat. He is small in size but large in qualities. Very good thought, very good idea. I hope you have understood my story, message, theme, introduction, summary, NCERT question answers. I hope you have liked my video. Please don't forget to subscribe it. Click on like button, click on bell button and share with your n number of friends. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.